Welcome to another episode of Redacted. It is March 29th, 2017. This podcast is brought to you by Antlion Mod Mic, and they're 4.0. They have a mass drop happening right now. Exclamation point mass drop in chat for the link to that. 3 days left on that, and that's absolute the lowest price you're going to be able to get it at. It's fully unlocked to $37.99, so go check it out. I'll post that here in chat as well.
Aside, Mass Drop's pretty awesome too.
Mass Drop.
I got these headphones on Mass Drop.
Mass Drop is legit.
Yeah,
I got what it was until today.
Dude, it's amazing.
I missed out on a couple of my cameras, but they had my cameras that I'm using for my stream house down to like $60 each, which is pretty legitimate.
Yeah, like these were like $400 headphones that I ended up getting for like $240, something like that.
Nice. Take a look here. I guess we'll just go over the news. Last night we had 262C dropped.
Mm-hmm.
The mega map with 262. It's in the PTU right now. I believe it's out open to everybody. Is that correct? The mega map has been added to multiplayer Arena Commander and Star Marine, not the Persistence universe at this time. And we have a little section on the mega map we'll talk about this week. Serialized. Go ahead.
PTU is in wave 4 at the moment, which is almost everyone.
Yeah, it's essentially everybody, I think.
So 80,000-ish people, I think. Or it might be 100,000-ish people. No, it's 114,000-ish people.
It's not that many are playing. I wish.
Yeah.
Serialized.
That's how many people are able to play.
Yeah. No, serialized variables are integrated. I'm getting massive frame rate variations in Star Marine, especially. Everything from it'll drop all the way down to like 15 frames a second and will go all the way up to 160 frames a second. And when I'm checking it with the internal, I need to check it with an external program as well. But if I'm using the internal one, it's all like I cannot move and I get frame rate variations of like 30 or 40 frames a second.
That's really weird.
Which is really crazy. Like at the beginning of a match, you know how it's all black and white in the PTU right now? Like at the beginning when you're waiting?
Yeah.
I'll get 110 frames a second on average there. I'm like, oh my God, this is amazing. Game starts, boom, instantly down to like 30 frames a second and then hiccuping all over the place and stuff. It's really weird. So I've done some issue council reports for that. But
okay.
Yeah, I think that's linked to the serialized variables, and I know they've been having issues with that, and that's why it's sort of we're on 2.6.2 is because this is originally stuff that was supposed to be 2.6.
This was supposed to be 2.6, yeah.
Yeah, and they've just been having issues rolling it out. And the Buccaneer's flyable, which I love that ship.
I'm a big fan, and
I'm a huge fan of it.
I'm a huge fan for one specific reason. Like, number one, I like the way it flies, I like the way it feels, but the reason I like
the sounds are amazing too.
Yeah, it could have been it could have been a ship that they basically made exactly like the Hornet, and like just did it really easy. Just let's give all the stats the same thing as the Hornet, and it's basically Drake's version of that. But they balanced it against the Hornet, I thought, really well.
Yeah.
With yeah. Even Miss Kitten saying in chat, you're typing super fucking loud.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I forgot my cameras, the microphones are turned up loud and different.
Okay. The thing that I like about it the most is the way they balanced it. So it can take some damage. It takes damage a little bit easier than the Hornet, but it's definitely way more maneuverable, and they have tons of like the strafing is like super. They have like really strong maneuvering thrusters.
Yeah, the maneuvering and the flight on that ship is really nice. The sound on it is awesome. Obviously, the amount of polish for the latest ships are all fantastic. To be honest, until I heard that, we heard about those leaks from Evo Cody on Reddit and stuff through the issue council, I was not expecting the Buccaneer in this patch.
No, because I remember Matt telling us.
Well,
that it
they
was
just on ATV when I was going through ATV, they're like, "Oh, we're showing off the Buccaneer and its status, and we're working on the animations and all this other stuff." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." Right?
I was
it's
expecting
ready.
to see the Cutlass Black as well in the patch.
As soon as I
Really?
heard the Buccaneer, I figured the Cutlass would be in.
I feel like it's Germany this week, right?
Coming up.
And then for ATV, sorry. It's Germany, and then I think it's
Manchester?
No, I think
it's Austin.
Austin. I wasn't expecting to see the Cutlass until after we saw it in we haven't seen much of it from the Austin update, and I thought like when there was something to update we would see it.
Yeah. Well, the other thing too is
I'm surprised you were expecting the Cutlass.
I also expected more Cutlass in the ATV, but we'll go to that in a second.
Yeah.
There was a new launcher update as well. So if you haven't updated your launcher, to do that was updated on Tuesday, March 28th. So what was that, yesterday?
And it was just for them to. It's a little more.
Well, there's a couple things. They fixed the music issues. So that's I know it's not huge. It's not huge at all, but it's fixed and it's back, and it's some people like it, some people don't. It's easy to turn off. There's a little speaker icon in the corner when you've logged in. Something I noticed was the peer-to-peer option seems to be missing on the cogwheel.
Because they don't have the ability to turn it off now, I think, is the thing.
That sucks.
Well,
No,
I would think it's the other way around. I think they've removed it because they're on the Amazon servers, so there's no need for it.
Oh, there's no need for it.
That would
I hope so, but I needed that.
Understanding.
I needed it because the last patch I tried to download it. I had to change from peer-to-peer to off to get it to download. That's the only way I can get it to download. It took me
once
hours.
again, it may show up if there's a download happening. I downloaded the patch last night and I didn't check. But if there, but when you just have the launcher open and you're logged in, there's no peer-to-peer option.
Okay.
And I noticed that. Let me just verify that. I have it open already, so let me just verify that real quick. Yeah. So it's the analyze game files download limit. Here, I'll pull it up on this stream here.
That scares me a little bit because if it's still the same patching format, I'm gonna have issues and not be able to download patches then.
You know what? We could use the launcher music as background music for the podcast. Just from now on, just open the launcher in the background and just have it.
Oh god.
But anyway, so that's the music that's playing now, and we have analyze game files, the download limit, and then just the PTU stuff. So whether to copy and erase the account. So it's missing that peer-to-peer. So I'm not sure what that means exactly. I just know, all I know is that it's missing.
Hey, just for to be really thorough, what if you went to live?
If I go to live, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's important for people to understand that this new launcher that we've just had updated is nothing to do with the Delta patcher or the new launcher.
No, we're gonna go. We're
totally
gonna
different
go.
Branch.
We're gonna go into those later on in the podcast. I really like the idea of having this music in the background. I'm not lying, but I'm gonna turn it off for the time being. Yeah. Anyways, so that's the updates with the PTU and the launcher. I don't think I haven't tested out 262C yet. I'll be testing that out right after the podcast. But 262B definitely was not ready for live. No. There is still some issues. I don't know if I hope they're going to be able to fix it this week. I also don't think we're going to see an update to the ETA, the schedule report, outside of 262 this week.
Yeah, because it didn't make it. I was gonna see if we wanted to talk about that because there's a slim chance that they might, and it's I'm so curious.
Even then, I think they've done it before, and I think they would do it again, being like, "Oh, we haven't had time to get this stuff together for it." So don't expect. Don't expect.
I wouldn't expect a
report this week.
And if you do get one, it's probably going to be 262 related.
Yeah.
Still, because it's not live, but I'm really curious. Whenever we do get one, what it says. Is it 2.7? Is it 3.0? Is it something else?
I mean,
what is it gonna? What will the next update be?
I suspect it will be a few weeks.
Yeah,
before that's
I'm
updated
really
properly.
curious about that too,
Yeah.
and I agree with you, Bored. I don't want to agree with you, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to either, but it's.
But that's probably what will happen. I mean, they'll update it again for 2.6.2 and say it's been released and say that anything that wasn't in for it, and then it'll be a few weeks before we then get the next update for the next batch, which could be a 2.6.3, or it could be a 2.7, or it could be a 3.0. And I think everyone's hoping that it's 2.7 or 3.0, and that there's like a proper.
Yeah, I'm just curious. I'm really curious to know if it's a 2.7. What are you expecting for like after the mega map and this stuff is in? We know that 2.7 was supposed to be 3.0, but if we were to get a 2.7, and I've asked my channel this, what do you think is that patch? Like, what could it be? I just don't know what it would be.
I've done a critical analysis of this, so I mean, you guys can talk about it quick, and then I'll tell you what I think if you want.
I have no idea. That's it. Like,
the only thing that I think it could be is updated stations and the satellites.
Oh,
because
the room
I don't
systems?
Possibly because I can't imagine that we would be able to land on anything.
No.
So it's not like they're just going to bring in planets.
Well, yeah. Well, some people were like, "Oh, well, they'll make the moons landable. What's in there now?" And I'm like, they could do that, I think but
that's almost certain. So I think if they have a 2.7, the PU doesn't.
The moons a lot.
The PU doesn't have object container streaming in properly. That persistent universe that we currently have is not set up for object containers.
Well, it's the same thing. We don't have the mega map for it. We don't have. I'm not sure about the serialized variables because I.
So for 2.7, what they would need to do was have a persistent universe set up for object container streaming, and then as many of 3.0's features as they can get in to a 2.7 to test them, because 3.0 is going to be buggy. Let's face it. And the more features, the more ships, the more everything that they can get into a patch before that, the more time they have to test and fix the stuff. So think of stuff like moons and small procedural objects to land on.
If they have the moons, I would assume the Dragonfly would come in. We all know that that's ready to go.
All the ships that they could possibly shove in, why not?
Yeah, possibly the Cutlass, possibly the mining ship that they have ready.
The Prospector.
Maybe. I mean, I wouldn't expect... I wouldn't expect mining, but maybe the ship.
No, I wouldn't expect mining. No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying the ship. Just put it in there.
Yeah, like
the new,
like with the big fucking tanker. I can't believe I love
Starfarer?
the ship.
Starfarer.
Starfarer. Like
clearly loves the
Starfarer
ship,
been
guys.
tanker.
Loves the ship. Doesn't know the name of it.
Hey, I'm tired. My life is very difficult right now. So like that I would, to be honest, at this point, I would have expected some sort of fuel mechanic with it by now. And so I kind of maybe expect the same or similar timeline with getting a mining ship and then mining potentially.
I suspect we'll have expanded missions. I suspect we'll have very, very simple economy, stuff like that. Probably cargo. They probably chuck cargo into a 2.7.
Yeah.
So there's some confusion in chat. So people are saying, so you don't think mining is coming in 3.0? We believe that if we're discussing
if we're getting a 2.7 patch
before, like if we're getting a 2.7 or whatever they want to call a patch before 3.0, that we might just get the ship and not mining. That's what we're
just discussing the possibility of a 2.7, and if there's a 2.7, what that would potentially include. Myself, I mean, I guess I could see them doing that. I just can't see them blowing their load on like landing on moons with 2.7, because they know where the hype is at with 3.0, and I would think that, you know, if shit's gonna be buggy, but people are gonna love it regardless.
Yeah, I mean, remember when we played 2.0?
Yeah, remember when 2.6 and StarEngine came in and stuff too. It was buggy, but it was still, a lot of people really liked it, and it was still really fun. And same with, like you said, 2.0. But let's move on into what we saw on ATV this week. They, like we said earlier, they talked about the Buccaneer and how it was being worked on, and then of course we got it flyable. So you guys have all seen that. It's in the PTU now, which I believe,
that day, right?
Yeah.
It was that day.
I think it went to Eva Cotti that day.
Is that what it was? Okay.
Yeah, it went to Evocati that day, and then it went to First Wave PTU like a couple days after that. But it leaked like later that day.
You don't like the back fins?
No, I like the ship. I like everything about it except for the back fins.
Really?
You know what's funny? This is the first ship that I didn't look at it as for looks at all.
Yeah.
To be honest, when I don't even remember what it
side,
looked like until I'm watching it on the stream again.
From the side,
it was
and
all about
it.
the stats for it that I was like really focused on.
I'll see if I can get a side view of it. It looks like a squished Herald from the side
with a little bit of a freelancer in there as well. From the side, it's very freelancery to me.
Yeah,
I guess I could see that a little bit, but if you look at it from the side, it's very much. It looks like it's got that same silhouette as a Herald, but just squished in the back, down flat.
I have a question though for you guys.
Drake's tagline could be "It's not for looks."
Is
definitely.
ESP real?
Is ESP real?
Is ESP real, guys?
What are you talking about in game?
No, Sora's paused and there was like a little thing. It says, "Is ESP real?" There's like a YouTube video.
Yeah, it's probably because I watch all those conspiracy theory YouTube videos and it shows I get some weird ones like flat Earth ones and ESP real.
Mine are
ones
all Twitch fails. That's all I get is
all just Twitch fail stuff.
1 second, I'm just gonna work out what I get. Carry on.
Yeah.
Sorry for putting us off.
No, dude, it threw me off because they're all Star Citizen ones, and this one guy that looks like Doctor. He looks like I have him on this one as well. It looks like Dr. Steve Brule.
Okay, so
like, is ESP real? Doctor to Doctor.
Things that appear on mine are bear sits next to a man, Brexit and leaving Europe, and clowns. I've never watched a video with a clown in.
There you go. The video I have up now is the old and new reworks of the Aurora.
Yeah,
now,
dude. Oh, it's good.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm surprised it's taken them this long.
They're redoing it completely, though.
I know they're redoing it completely, but for a ship that I would say the majority of the player base has, and is probably the most owned ship in the game, right?
That's why I think it's taking that long, because I think they're doing it good.
I would have assumed that they would have started working on it a while ago. That's all.
Yeah.
But as you can see here, we're seeing some of the old stuff and then the new stuff where they're at right now with how the cockpit looks in game right now, and then how it's sort of being white boxed or gray boxed. And
what I love,
I'm really excited for it.
Yeah, I'm. What I'm excited for, and what I think is this update represents, is CIG paying attention to the community being upset with the MFDs and not being able to see like with how the Hornet was. Is they're paying attention and they're redesigning things so we're able to make use of all those
screens and everything.
Those screens, yeah. So that's the biggest update from the Aurora. Like the outside, yes, they updated to the materials and shit like that, but they've changed the internals to make it more usable from a player standpoint, to be able to see each screen and make use of that screen. I think that's really good.
Speaking of the multifunction displays, they've done a lot of work on them, and they showed some of the new concepts for them in this ATV as well. I have some video for that here. So you can see here some of their screens. Now these are, I believe, for the different stations. But this is more of the technical design stuff. They're going to be handing this off to the UI guys, and then they're going to be doing even more work.
Yeah, because what I see
for the individual ships.
What do you guys think about these? Because what I see is it's still going to be unreadable.
It depends on how they put it on the heads-up display and how they put it on the multifunction displays. Obviously, at the specific stations on large ships, it's going to be fine because it takes up your whole screen, exactly like how it's looking here. But if we look at this screen here, I believe we're in the Saber or something. That ESP reel keeps popping up. The new targeting, so you can see the target ship is a lot clearer and a lot bigger. The missiles seem to be a lot bigger. with the locks being detected, like they're super big in your face. So that stuff seems to be new with a heads-up display. All of this stuff, all your like speeds and your flares and everything, that all seems to be the same. I'm really interested to see how they're going to make the MFDs more readable.
Yeah,
because right now, even if you have them on your screen, they're small enough that you can't read the text without zooming in.
And okay, so obviously I think a majority of the time that you will be playing Star Citizen at the time Star Citizen is released, how much would you really have to look at the MFDs? So having the system that they have now where you can move your head and focus on them, it makes it's okay for me. But for a game like Squadron 42, where I would imagine that most of the time that you're in your ship, you're involved in combat, I don't know. So yeah, I'm very curious as well of how they're going to go about MFDs. Obviously, like with the update from the Aurora that we saw, it's obviously a focus to make things more in your vision. But like even looking at the ship of the example that they gave, which is it's definitely an Aegis ship. I think it's the Saber. You can't read it.
I quite liked what they showed on the UK ATV where they zoomed in on them, and it was quite a smooth kind of feel.
But how do you zoom in on it while in combat?
You would.
You wouldn't use them.
It's not a good idea.
Yeah,
it's not a good idea.
But the other information. Yeah, the other thing is you may not need that information. You kind of do though. Some of this stuff.
You do. You need to know how damaged the other pilot is.
How damaged your ships are.
You
can see that. They do that well with the little avatar of the other ship. But I'm thinking more of like how your heating and cooling is going, how your all of that stuff.
But there are going
to be some MFDs that are easily seeable at a glance on most ships. Yeah, and that will normally be fighters and stuff like that. So, and you'll be able to set those ones up to have the important information that you want on. And
there will be others. Is the key though, because right now not all of the fighters, mainly the Aegis ships, you can't.
Still got ones at the bottom, haven't they? You can still see on your screen.
Yeah, but they're not. I mean, look. I mean, he's showing it on the screen that you can't read any text.
Well, maybe you wouldn't need to read any text. Like, as long as
I see what you're saying, then.
As long as it's,
they may make it the visual aspect of it
readable. You need to identify what's wrong at a glance.
Yeah,
that's what it is. You don't want to be able to read text. That's not essential. But knowing like color codes and warning signs and hard things, it going at a glance, I know what's going on with my ship while I'm in combat. That's what you want.
Okay.
Engineering team has started on their new shop entities, allowing shops to be streamed and scheduled, and that's scheduled for their next sprint. So this is something that we know is they're working on pretty quickly. What that's going to do is making shops more dynamic and reactive from the back end. So things like they can put in different shops of even the same type of shop or the same like cubby blast or whatever in different locations, but they're going to look differently and do all of that stuff is sort of what I got from that. Something I'm really excited for, heavy outlaw armor.
Yeah.
It's almost complete and it looks amazing and looks to be the first armor we're going to see that doesn't have a see-through visor.
Dun dun dun.
And it
I'm
doesn't.
excited.
And like we have some marine armors that the faceplate comes down. But right now it doesn't in game. But this one doesn't look like it's gonna move. Like I don't see how it's gonna move. But I am gonna say this: it looks amazing.
It looks really cool, and they have the camera on the side, so that I'm assuming.
Well, that's the light bulb.
Our vision.
That's your light bulb, and your camera maybe. That could be your camera too. But I wonder if they're gonna do some sort of like. Titanfall style display. You know what I mean? Like
I played Titanfall.
I've talked about this before. I would like to see things like EMP grenades and stuff like that affect this type of armor a lot more than something else where you hit it and it just knocks out your vision.
And stuff. Yeah, I think that's a great idea.
Right,
Yeah.
and that's sort of the downfall of this armor. Maybe it's good, it's maneuverable, it can carry a bunch of shit, it can protect you well, but it's got this one flaw that if somebody has an EMP grenade, you're kind of SOL.
And I want to
It
see
becomes a flashbang or something.
if people are walking on your
Or
ship with
worse, because
electromagnetic
you wouldn't be able to
boots.
look away from it.
If people are walking on your ship with grav boots or whatever, electromagnetic stuff, and you throw an EMP grenade, I want to see those people fly off into space.
I don't know if
stuff like
they're
that.
doing mag boots anymore, though.
They will do mag boots. I will scream until I get mag boots.
But yeah,
Probably
all
docking
of the outlaw stuff is starting to look like, even the marine stuff looks awesome. The new orc armor and the new marine stuff looks awesome.
Especially for the woman's model.
Well,
the head-
it's
Yes.
funny. It's funny you mention that.
That transition, though.
Because we did hear about what did I put that? The female model right here. Yeah. So they showed
It's real, guys.
the
It's not a unicorn.
yeah, they showed the female armors and the undersuit, and man, it looks good. It looks really good. It's form fitting without being like you can tell they're smaller characters.
The first
But-
game I've seen female armor in that's not sexualized.
Yes.
job.
Thank God.
Well
Great
done.
First?
job,
Really?
CIG.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, no, I
For
didn't
me.
like the sexy
What
games.
about Mass Effect?
What do you mean?
I have no idea. I just assume Mass Effect did. the
Mass
same
Effect
for
is overly sexualized
Is it?
female
Oh,
characters.
okay,
Yes.
I didn't know that.
I think
didn't
that
know
the lack of animations and good quality textures under sexualized Mass Effect. But that's just my opinion.
But no, I honestly I thought that this looked. Yeah, I obviously don't know, but yeah, it looks amazing.
Yeah.
It looks really good, and you can still distinctively tell that it's like a female silhouette, without it being like, look at my
But it's because it
giant
has.
boobs.
Yeah, it doesn't have giant boobs, so you can tell it's a woman. Definitely.
Yeah, like it's
Yeah.
it's still form fitting without being ridiculous.
And the armors, the heavy armor especially, looks.
It looks
fucking
so
awesome.
good. It looks so
It's
good.
slightly Turian, slightly like Turian, like kind of Mass Effect. I really liked it. I thought it was
Yeah.
cool. It was really cool.
Yeah. Goes on to say Mass Effect is sexualized, and then 2 minutes later, oh, this is great, not sexualized. It looks like this thing from Mass Effect. Yeah,
I'm allowed to be
I know.
juxtaposed in my opinions.
I'm just busting your balls. But no, they look amazing. I'm really excited for them to be in game, and hopefully that's soon. TM.
Yeah.
Something they touched on briefly. We heard about a new outlaw faction called the OMC Outlaw faction, and we have 9 tails in game now, so that would be 2 outlaw factions that we know about. In a section that I put in quotes here, they can't talk about. They like to do this, and they're like, "Oh, we were working on this stuff that we can't talk about," and it's like, "Why even?"
Just don't
bring it
even
up?
fucking say
Like,
it. I don't know.
like,
That drives me nuts.
it's cool
dude.
that they-
As a
they're
backer,
like,
that drives
"Oh,
me nuts.
We have a new faction coming in. It's called the OMC, whatever. The other thing, with more that they can't talk about, was the alien concept sculpts that they're working on, and more exciting. And I want to know how you guys think this is gonna fit in. Is the mechanized Titan suits are in R&D right now? Oh lordy!
I don't know. I might be weird, but I don't give a shit about them.
Oh, fuck you, twerk.
I'm
You
not
got me
excited.
sold.
I don't care.
Do you think we're gonna get like mini Gundams in space? These are gonna be the bridge in between FPS and ships?
Okay, if that's what they are, then they excite me a bit because
It's going to be like the power loader in Alien. That's the way I envision them.
okay, so like wrapped around you, and not
Yeah.
not full armor that covers you completely.
Well,
I think it's
maybe-
gonna be like Titanfall.
I th-
Like
I think,
something
I think what-
that you jump
Yeah.
into.
Yeah, they're gonna be like vehicles. I think. I mean these. Also, I want to say we're just guessing on this. We are
Yeah.
not 100% sure, and obviously it's an R&D. They don't even know, but we do know that it is for sure coming in. It was sort of a rumor before that I was really excited about. But do you think that they have to like?
Okay.
I would assume like okay. So one of the things I'm thinking of is like, do you think they're gonna have to redesign any stations or ships with these in mind?
So we know the Retaliator can take a Titan suit already. So that was part of its module. The dropship module for it was supposed to have a power conduit for a Titan suit to recharge. But
I just thought of a caterpillar full of these Titan suits.
Yeah,
And just like the doors open
Yeah.
and just a bunch of like a caterpillar landing on a planet and a bunch of these coming out of the caterpillar out of the sides. Oh my god, it would be amazing.
So originally these were supposed to be made, and still may be, I suppose, by the Next Great Star Marine thing that they wanted to do in a similar vein to the Next Great Starship. But Sandy said in a recent interview with her that they're waiting until 3.0 and Squadron 42 Episode 1 are out before they dedicate time and resources to doing the Next Great Star Marine.
Priorities, baby, nice.
Priorities, great, but we don't know whether the Titan suit now is going to be being done by CIG or by the Next Great Star Marine.
Or, well, the other thing is we could have multiple Titan suits. Just
we
like
can have multiple
ships,
Titan suits. Yes.
like from different manufacturers. I, for one, would love to see a Castic Arms Titan suit.
I want to see a Drake one that just barely wraps.
Yeah, so this would be my thing. Do you think these would be coming from ship manufacturers, or do you think these are going to come from armor and weapon manufacturers?
I think they would come from ship. I think they come from ships.
Oh, see, I think armor and weapon.
You know, it'd be cool if they did like crossovers. Like, oh, Drake is working with Castic Arms, and Aegis is working with whatever Aegis, you know, Bearing.
Whatever Aegis would want to work with.
Yeah, like Bearing or something, right?
Yeah, a military manufacturer. Yeah.
Yeah, and they're sort of doing like little crossovers to make these mechanized Titans.
Off the top of your head, do you remember where the interview with Sandy was? Somebody asked in chat.
It was an interview that Batgirl did recently, State of the Game. I can, I'll link it.
There you go.
No worries.
Torque, do you want to go over the Megamap stuff real quick?
I mean, I don't think it's anything like super crazy. It's just faster loading for multiplayer matches. That's my experience with it. There's probably a lot more in the back end that's there with it, but it's faster loading. It was already
did a good job of visualizing it, I think, on HTV, and I have that running right now. Yeah,
I thought that was really cool. That was some like pretty slick editing for that. I remember commenting on that when we watched it. But even still, like, I think you chose the wrong person to talk about this because I'm not the smartest person in the world. So I was just kind of like, wow, faster loading, cool, sweet. Can I mine yet? No. Okay.
But so that's basically what it is. It's just object containers. So the megamap is just allowing the back end for object containers. They load in the megamap, which is nothingness, and then object. It goes, this is an object container. Stream just that.
Yeah.
And it just links them together. The problem is that we don't have that in the persistent universe yet.
Yeah. So but they had it in single player. Now they have it in multiplayer. So they're getting it to work. And now they're making, I guess, the steps up to the PU, right?
Yeah.
So progression is good to see, because for a little while there, it was hard for us to see any progression. We've heard a lot about progression, but didn't get to see it. So seeing it, I guess, is for me the biggest thing about the Megamap stuff that's come in, is that it's progression towards the thing that we all want, and that's the landing on the planets and the Stanton system and all that great stuff.
Capital ships. So when I went to my Squadron 42, my studio tour, they were showing me how capital ships are literally broken up into sections for streaming containers. Like, this hangar's one, this hangar could be three. Like, I was like, oh my god, that makes so much sense. But the persistent universe, the one we have at the moment, literally needs to be deleted because it's not set up for object container streaming as far as I'm aware. It's not sectioned out.
Yeah.
A little off topic, and to rewind a little bit to the heavy outlaw armor. Zorky was kind and sent an image of some of the outlaw armor finished with, or it looks like maybe the concept with the Devastator shotgun, and I have it up here, and it looks amazing.
Let's see it.
So there's the heavy outlaw with the shotgun that we have in game now, and it looks like that side thing is the light there. So if you haven't seen that, that's there.
So now I see it now more than ever. so inspired XCOM 2, right?
Yeah, somebody else had said that when I was showing
Advent
them my stream
Soldiers?
the other day.
I've got a weird feel of Chappie looking at that for some reason.
Yeah,
Really?
I feel
Don't know
like
why.
District 9 kind of
Yeah, District 9 and Chappie, yeah.
feel from that, for
I
sure.
don't know why, but I get that feel.
XCOM 2 all day for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so there is something that they described as a bug with the mega maps, right? And that was if you get drunk, because basically what it means is now instead of like most games, what happens is when you go into different areas or go into different game modes, it destroys your character, saves the data, destroys your character, and then recreates your character after loading in whatever it is with those attributes from before. Now what happens is instead of destroying your character, it destroys the area that you're in and keeps your information. So there's things like there's more persistence to things than they actually expect, and one of those things was they found they called this a bug, but you could drink from the liquor bar, and then when you load it into any game mode, if you did it right away, you would still be drunk.
Yeah.
Now I would think that this would be something that's intended. You want as much stuff to persist as possible. And I could see how, you know, they definitely don't condone drinking and driving or whatever.
Well, I've seen Wing Commander. I've seen the Wing Commander games. You drink. One of the missions, you get drunk.
Oh, Wing Commander 3, right?
You in Commander 3? Yeah. Mark, yeah.
But
really
I found it really odd that they said that this was a bug. I would just think that this is working as intended. Where, this just shows how persistent everything is.
Yeah, I mean, it may be a bug because they didn't want that, but it shows that their tech works. It shows that it doesn't destroy the character. That it does persist the state over, which is weird and cool.
And I think
that is cool.
I personally would like to see this stay in. I don't want them to remove it. I think that, if you go and get drunk and you don't wait, then you should deal with that.
Have you tried doing racing drunk?
No.
Gotta do it, man.
Well, this is the thing, is I haven't been able to get the liquor cabinet to work. I tried, but I couldn't get the liquor cabinet to work, so I haven't been able to do anything drunk. Because I tried to do that the other day. I was like, I'm gonna get drunk. I'm gonna go into the persistent universe and try and see if I can do Kovlex wasted. Like the one where you're not only is it blurry, but everything's spinning as well. I was like, oh, this would be amazing. But just an interesting little thing that I was like, oh, they said this was he specifically called it a bug. But new sub perks. This first line is for you guys, but the 3rd edition of Jump Point is in the works, and I believe that means their real life copy, right?
Yep.
Now, do either of you guys have the 1st or 2nd edition Jump Points?
No, I mean, I don't have books in real life, so I don't like any books that have their ebooks. Yeah, their ebooks or their audiobooks.
I mean, the Jump Point is all online as well. So if you're a subscriber, you have all of that stuff. But I don't know. I mean, I feel like it might be cool as like a coffee table book.
Yes, definitely.
That kind of stuff.
I would love to have.
But people don't come to my house either.
Like, if I could buy the first 2 again, I would buy them and get them third.
Yeah,
I don't.
I wonder if they'll reprint them. Like once the game is out.
I think it's pretty pricey to do.
I would think so, but it may be something that people would be like. It would be something I'd be interested if I could go and get the other ones. I would be more interested in buying them if I could buy all of them, as opposed to just buying the latest one.
They might do a 2nd edition reprint.
I would be like a completionist when it comes to that kind of stuff. You know, I like want that. There's a new perk for all subscribers, the ship of the month. So you're gonna get a ship for both levels of subscribers, whatever that ship is. I'm not sure what it is this month. Imperators, which is the $20 level, the higher of the two, are going to get access to all ships when patches go live for 1 week. I see why they're doing this as a sub perk, I guess. I don't know. It's one of those things. It's like, I don't really know. I think they kind of should do that for everybody, regardless.
So the idea with these sub perks is that they want to give something that doesn't give you a real in-game advantage, but does encourage you to sub still. So they have to be. They just have to give you as much as they can without taking a piss. Yeah, it's hard to do.
It's it is really hard to do. So I know it's sort of walking that fine line, but yeah.
I was a bit annoyed by this a little bit. It felt like an infomercial in the middle of ATV.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't think they're.
I don't think it was the place for it.
Yeah, I mean it is, but it's not. Like I don't think the style that they chose.
Yeah, the style of it.
They didn't just tell you the new things that were a part of the sub perks. They told you everything.
So I wouldn't mind actually if they put it in Citizens of the Stars or as a commercial break in Happy Hour.
Or at the end of I don't know. I just
anytime they have a break, they throw that in.
Yeah.
Like you know how they do their live shows, and instead of having to like talk through it awkwardly or something, throw some of these commercials in there like that, and have that built as like an actual commercial, and put that in there. I think
it makes it feel like Star Citizen TV kind of feel then, and it's actually feels good to me.
Yeah. Now Twerk. I have this in specifically for you. How excited are you that everyone's getting their own Benny's vending machine for Hangar Flare? Because I know how much you love Benny. And I need to know how many you're going to own and if you're going to have any tomato-flavored ones.
It was inevitable that they were going to make the Benny's machine.
I'm surprised it took so long.
Exactly. Like, why wasn't it?
The assets have been in there forever. Since the very beginning.
I feel like it wouldn't have taken that much effort to be like, okay, it's actually something that people pay attention to, and it's a meme now. Let's give it to them.
It's not a meme now. Fuck the Benny's meme.
No,
I'm saying it's a meme back then.
It was then.
I'm totally with you.
I think
Fuck the Benny's meme. I think it's the deadest meme ever.
Let's see some cute.
It's such a forced meme. Such a forced thing. It was like, oh, we've got a magical song and people have pushed a box around. Good job, community. Let's make some stuff about it and force me to look at it every day. Moats everywhere. Oh,
Twerk's losing his mind. Or Board's losing his mind. But yeah, like, it's cool. I'm glad we're getting it finally. Like, it's one of those.
I'm gonna get one.
Oh, I want to get.
I get one anyway because I'm a sub.
Yeah, but I want to get a bunch. I want to just scatter my whole hangar with them. But I do agree.
You have fun with that. You have fun with that. I'm not.
Well, I'm just gonna end up giving them all away anyways.
Yeah.
But
get out of my hangar.
Yeah, I'm excited they're coming in. Right. I would rather have a Pips machine one. Right. Maybe the next one will be a Pips machine because I'm gonna build a real life Pips machine.
Do you remember when they had that competition and they said come up with some names for Pips? I spent a whole day coming up with names. We didn't hear anything about it, did we?
No.
Because Pips is still the best name.
No, I think they wanted the different flavors and stuff. But yeah, I mean it's cool. I just don't understand why it took so long for I feel like they're just really late to the game with that stuff. Like when they announced their the Benny's shirt, it was over then. And it was like you guys should have jumped on it right away. I don't know.
And you got to. What we say about the Benny's meme is the most truth because me, Twerk, and Saurus, we're the cool kids. We know what's in. We know about dubstep. We know about hipsy hop. We know all about that sort of stuff. So
as I post my command that has all these Benny's noodles things, and I have a whole thousands of noodle stickers.
The views and feelings of BoredGamer is UK are the views and feelings of only BoredGamer UK. It does not represent anything or any of us.
Oh my god, I can't believe you hang me out to dry about the Benny's meme.
No, it's not about the Benny's meme. It's about the as soon as you said hippity hop, I never wanted to talk to you.
And what do they call it? The dank step?
Oh yeah, it's so dank, mate. It's the deep dank moves, mate.
One of the other things, the final thing here for the ATV was it was advertised at the beginning of the week, as, you know, enough to shake your cutlass at. And so I figured they would have put in what they did for the Buccaneer, but for the cutlass, like showing us all the updated stuff. And at the end, I was like, where is the cutlass stuff? Why would they even see that? And we watched through it, and my chat was like, oh, it's after the credits maybe. So I'm like, okay, but there's no time. So we're sitting there, and I literally sat through this and watched it several times, not even knowing what I was looking at. And my chat's like, no, it's right there. It's right. It's like they were saying it was before the credits or something, but it was the credits.
Dun dun dun.
So this is the cutlass, and it looks flyable.
It pissed me off a little bit.
Yeah, but do you think that we could get this with even 262 live?
A board seems to think so.
Well, I thought it was going to be in the PTU. I think it possibly
kind of
the live
surprised
version. It's just
like,
unlikely.
Like when I saw this, I was like, oh, it'll be the next PTU. I thought we'd get the cutlass before we get the Buccaneer. For sure.
It drove me nuts that they showed us the back of it in this, though.
They wanted to tease you.
I know, and it pissed me off because they did a good
If the
job.
back of the ship's done, the front's probably is as well.
I would assume the rest
They've
of
just
it's
got the
fine.
back end of it done and flying it around to trick us.
Here's what I'm saying though, is that the back is the least changed portion of the ship. So it still just it looks like a new Cutlass, but it doesn't look like the full changed Cutlass, like the more aggressive look. All that was done on
it's all done on the
view.
front. The back is like whatever. They could have used the camera on a cool like front 3/4 angle or something. Nope.
Yeah. It was a proper tease.
Yeah, but you can also see that
tease.
the rear engines, well, they don't now. With the old Cutlass, they stopped rotating the rear engines.
It makes sense. It makes sense for them not to be like spin around like a lunatic and skate.
It does look awesome. The engines do look in line with the rest of the Drake stuff, and it's all coming together. And I think this is going to be the first manufacturer where we have all of the ships in game that are all sort of in line with each other that don't need any reworks because they're all done.
Do you know what was the funny thing about the Cutlass, actually? That when they put it into Pirate Swarm and that kind of patch, I actually started to appreciate the Cutlass's role.
Yeah.
Like, it's actually, this ship's getting quite good, or at least much better than it was.
And
then they've done the rework.
Because it started out as like more of what felt like more of a glass cannon, right? And then it sort of turned into a more tanky, slower. I really like where the role of the. I know there was that huge thread on the forums about the Cutlass. It was like literally hundreds of thousands of replies. But I really like how they ended up dealing with that with the rest of the Drake lineup, like putting in the Buccaneer in that role as the fighter, doing the Caterpillar as that role as the heavy whatever, the modular
The
ship.
heavy
heavy modular ship, but mostly for like cargo and stuff like that we know of right now. And then what they did with the Cutlass is more of like a support. I just think that they all sort of mesh together well. It would be awesome as a really, really cool fleet together.
And that's what they set out to do, right? That's what they said they were going to do, and it's beautiful to see that they're doing it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because there's so many times in the early portions of the development, and it makes sense that things change, is that they said they would do one thing, and then some things changed, and they decided to do maybe another, or slightly change the directions of things a little bit. And they literally set out and said, this is what it's going to be, and this is what it is. So I like it. I like it.
And the happy hour game dev was basketball. They made basketball.
I thought it was cool. I thought the coolest part of it was the program that they used to make it. How they just like types things and pulls things around.
That was
like,
originally
that is so
something
cool.
that was in Unreal. I remember I was back before I started streaming. I wanted to make a VR program or a VR game or environment thing. I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I wanted to build something. And Unreal has this thing. It's called Blueprints, and it looks exactly like this. And now a lot more engines have it, so it just replaces the code and basically takes all your variables, and you can link them up to each other and stuff. It's really cool. So you don't need to know how to code stuff, and you can just like prototype and put stuff together a lot quicker, and then it'll do the code in the background for you automatically, which I thought is really cool. The biggest thing for me was, hey, this is the interior of the Javelin.
Yeah.
Surprise.
It's there. It wasn't just an image. I mean, those videos are always in engine.
Yeah.
You know? I love the fact that we got to see how some of their tools work. Like an actual use case for their tools and how they edit and grab and can move entities around. I mean, I want to eventually do a proper video on the StarEngine and how it works, kind of from a layman's point of view, not like a tutorial or anything, but this is the StarEngine, this is its power. And that sort of stuff, I love. I'd love to sit down with a dev for a day and watch him work using their tools, rather than to discern any information about what he's working on, just to see how they work. And that sort of stuff from those happy hours, the dev happy hours.
This is the kind of stuff that people want to see, right? Like the creation of assets, the things like this. Now, they were very adamant about saying, hey, this doesn't mean that this is in. But for them to put this together in the amount of time that they did, now it wasn't perfect by the time it was done, but it was pretty good for a concept for in-game. For
kept
literally,
well.
It took an hour. Yeah, it kept score from where they were standing even.
Yeah, he made 3-point right at the end. He made 3-point shots, and that's when I actually came into the show. I'd just woken up for work, and
this guy always sleeping.
Dude, fucking life's tough right now.
Yeah,
but it's cool. It was
cool. It was really awesome. I really like seeing this kind of stuff. CIG, if you're watching, continue doing this stuff. Continue doing the spider crotch stuff. That's the kind of stuff we want to see for happy hour.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's a reason you guys like they get the numbers that they get for this content over when they were doing some of the other stuff.
When they're playing the game that we could.
We don't want to just watch a streamer play the game, because otherwise we'd go to that streamer's channel.
Yeah. Makes sense. And we don't want to watch the community managers play the game by themselves or something like that, because it's really no different than going to a streamer's channel. It's nothing new and unique.
Yeah,
I'm there to a topic of discussion that's different.
Exactly. I'm there to learn some tangible information or see how things work. Those are the two reasons I watch Happy Hour. If you've got another reason, feel free to tell me what that reason is.
Yeah, like I don't think there's ever I'll give probably the best example that I have of maybe the way the community managers could play the game and have it be different than just if a normal streamer would, was Paradox Interactive and Stellaris. They would do a playthrough of a build that we didn't have. And
like
then
pre-Evocati or something.
Yes. Which unfortunately would never really work because
of how buggy it is, and they don't want to show that.
Exactly, like Evocati patches don't even really
but that's because they've got something they're focusing on that they want to show us and talk to us about. Whereas a lot of the time in Happy Hour, or at least a couple of the Happy Hours, have no focus, and it's just kind of free-form chat, which is... If you do that, have a load of devs there. Have everyone on the break there, like RTV used to be.
They pop in when they want.
Free-form chat, and we don't learn anything. It just feels like numb.
Yeah, but going back to what I said, I really enjoyed this format. I really like seeing this kind of stuff, even if it was just as simple as, you know, making this basketball thing. Now, we have a couple other things in game that would be cool to see be made into mini games, and we've sort of touched on this before. Having things like cards, just being able to hold cards and place cards down, right? Because then you could literally play any game. You don't need to create the rules for that game.
Yeah.
You just need the ability to use those things. Same with the pool table. Same with air hockey.
Grabby hands and physics sandbox like Tabletop Simulator. That's all you need. And you can do everything you want.
So, really, really cool stuff. If you haven't checked that out, definitely go watch that. Like I said, it was put together pretty quickly, and it was really impressive to watch them do it. And then our last update before we get into questions, and if anybody has any questions, !question in chat, click on the link and fill that out, and we will get to that at the end of the podcast, is Turbulent and Spectrum Launcher. Now I'm going to try and go through this as quickly as possible because there was a lot.
Yes, and that came out yesterday. I'm going to put the link in the chat
Yes.
for everybody.
Okay, so the next update well, we just had an update to Spectrum itself.
Yeah, I think it added thumbnails and video links and stuff like that.
Yeah,
pictures and stuff.
A couple different things like that. The next update is they want to start out with game communication. Forums, chat, VoIP, org management, things like that. They seem to be progressing fairly quickly. However, implementation of some of the things is dependent on CIG getting it actually in the game first, like Fleet View, and we'll talk about that a little bit later on. The first question that they had was about polls, and interestingly enough, they had that in the first implementation, but they had to remove it because it wasn't working 100%, and they wanted to launch it. So they removed it. They want it back in as soon as possible.
But that's in the medium term.
That's
specifically for polls.
Yeah, he said medium term, so it's he was about to say short and then said
so
medium.
We're on 0.32 is the build that we're on now. The most short term, the thing that's next for Spectrum is a new thread type called nested threads, and that's similar to Reddit based. So if you ever go into Reddit comments, that's how
Reddit.
That's how that is, and it's first level replies and based on voting, right? And then comments below those replies.
Yeah. For me, this was a roller coaster of emotion because I hate Reddit and I hate the style of Reddit.
Yeah.
But what I loved is he went into the next part where you have the choice to, when you make a thread,
whether
you have the choice to make it nested or original.
Traditional.
Yeah,
linear. Or traditional. Linear, yeah. And I love that. And then also, I might be skipping some things, but also CIG with their own forums, you can choose a forum to be that style as well.
Yes.
So if they want general to be a certain way, it can be this way. But if they want another one to be a certain way, it can be another way. I love that idea.
They made it sound like is number one, orgs will have the choice to have everything as a traditional forum or the nested vote. I'm going to call it Reddit style, right? But when you're creating your own post, this is where I thought was interesting, just the wording in this. You'll have the choice for the default thread type, which means it sounds like you can change how you view it. So even if you make a post like a Reddit style, if you don't like that, you don't like that style twerk, you can go and just do it in order.
I read it as you choose your thread.
No,
it might be both.
I hope
so that's what I'm saying,
because
that's the thing that sort of that was that little comment that they're like, when he said exactly this: when you're creating your own post, you'll have the choice for the default thread type, which means that would be a default that they view it as, but you could go in and change that. Base it, and then it would be a timeline instead of being nested threads with voting and stuff like that, which would be really cool. All tools, they said as well, that is made for the community team is something they know that the community is going to want to use themselves within the orgs and for the org pages and stuff like that. So anything that they build for the community team, they're also going to be making for the community itself. So there's nothing they went into later, and I'm going to jump ahead a little bit, with their dev tracker, for example. I'll cover this right now. They talked about adding a dev tracker for Spectrum, but how they did it on the old website was they made a custom thing for it. This way, they want to make it with roles, and we're going to go into the roles a little bit more as well, where you can follow specific roles and then have those show up on your quote-unquote timeline, which is your new front page of Spectrum. So
or even specific people. If I only want to see Matt Sherman's things, I can only see Matt Sherman's.
So say, for example, I want to see Matt Sherman's, Chris Roberts, Ben Lesnick's, Twerks, and Board stuff. I can do that all and track those all just like the dev tracker. And that's sort of the plan with that. And they are creating a new feature, the front page with highlighted actions, and think that similar to a Facebook page, like a ticker page. Jumping back up here, orgs update. So now that there's forums and chat for org, Benjamin said that he would like to add the hidden, redacted, and showing of different orgs. So right now
that's a huge feature.
Well, they want that sort of spy game stuff in Spectrum because they think that is necessary for org play in the game. And there's a couple
100%.
things that touch on that.
Absolutely necessary.
So rolling out, they're going to be rolling out public subforums very soon. So the ability to create specific subforums or even threads as public as well from your org. So say, for example, right now you need to go to the org page, and then you can only make like forums public or whatever, not necessarily posts or whatever. And this is going to be good for things like recruitment threads, ability to discover new orgs without having to go to the org system, things like that. They are revamping the original role system for organizations. They realized that it was too boxed in. And with the original scope of the game, when they had first built this, that's sort of what they were thinking of. But now that it's changed, they understand how much those custom roles and the amount of custom roles that we're going to need, especially with some of these large organizations. Like even for me, I think it's like, 5 roles isn't enough. You know?
Yeah.
And there's orgs that are
and being about multiple roles.
Yeah, and being in multiple roles and stuff like that, and especially now with the tagging stuff and everything that's going in Spectrum. So they're going to be redoing that entirely. That is a short-term goal, they had said. They also want to be able to give the ability to create custom roles, assign members, and give them access to specific parts of the org in Spectrum itself. Yeah. So instead of having to go to the website and go to the org stuff and do all that stuff, they want to integrate the orgs more into Spectrum. Also, they're considering moving all the recruitment tools into Spectrum for easier invitations and doing something like invitations to specific roles right away. So think of for those of you that use Discord, if you want to invite someone to a specific channel, you can do that, and it creates a link for you. You give them that link, it's a one-time use, and they get invited to that channel. And that's something they want to do just with the roles, which I think is a really cool idea. Basically, they're just trying to make org functionality more fluid and overall. And this is going to come in before tackling more of the org functionality actually in-game. So all of this stuff is going to come to Spectrum before we're going to see any org stuff in-game, essentially, is what they're saying. And this was one of those things that, they have to wait on the game itself to progress and all that other stuff once that's done. They gave an update on the Delta Patcher. Finally.
Sort of.
Sign up. I mean, they talked about it.
It
was the first time we had heard about it since October. So it was good. So builds are already being produced. It was just nice to hear a confirmation of some of the rumors.
Yeah, totally agree.
Builds are being produced with a new file format and system in place. They're internally ironing out all the kinks with Delta patching right now. That doesn't mean all devs are using it, but it sounded like a lot of devs are using it. Not everybody, but a lot of them are using it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they want to move everyone over to that patching system before they roll it out to either country.
Yes, yeah. I cover that here in a second. So Turbulent has received the patching library and integrating into the new patcher application. It will initially look the same as the current patcher, right? It's not going to look any different.
Which is fine as long as it fucking works.
All the back end will be different. all the back end will be completely different. It's just going to look the exact same. The current patcher is essentially a bunch of different software stacks thrown together, and that's sort of why it's such a
Frankenstack.
Yeah, that's what they called it.
Yeah.
Delta patching will be updated in before Spectrum is integrated into the launcher. So we know that Spectrum, the launcher will be Spectrum for the desktop. It will be your standalone application. But the good news is we're going to get Delta Patcher before that comes in, and we know that they're working on bringing that in. It really sounds like Delta Patching is, I hate using this term, but soon. Not all developers are using this yet, but it's the next step.
Fuck.
A lot are now. Once it goes, then they're fully internally. They're going to roll it out to public, and they even said at least to Evocati soon. they want Ivocata using it ASAP, and they're like, it's not super far away. Now,
I would imagine we would need it before 3.0.
Yeah. Now, one of the things I really like about Turbulent is they're pretty on point with their release times, like with their release frames and everything like that. And yeah, I mean, they're able to get stuff out and surprise us with a lot of things. Like they did things like the map application on the website, right? And that like was amazing, came out of nowhere. Spectrum was way sooner than we expected. Remember when they showed that at CitizenCon? And so there was a lot more of that done, and then it rolled out shortly after. Yeah, so I really think a lot of this stuff is going to be coming in fairly soon. And what's cool is it's not dependent on patches for the game itself, because these are all things that they want to work on the standalone web application and then the standalone application and app before they need to put it in game. And they can do that without patching, right? Without a normal game patch. Fleet View is sort of on hold at the moment,
which is the most telling thing about stuff, right?
So it's
so Fleet View is dependent on a few things, including getting their permissions system up and running, because they don't want you to just be able to see everyone's ships. There needs to be a sharing system. What ships am I allowing people to see? And then in an org, are some of these ships available for the org to use? There's lots of stuff that's kind of built
work
on
in between different characters on the same account, things like that. Like they know that not everybody wants to share all their ships. So skipping, and it's dependent on game as well for stuff in game. So that's something that's going to be on hold for a bit. VoIP, I'm going to go over this real quick. They want to make it something similar to a Steam overlay for Spectrum in game. That being said, there will be certain apps in the mobiGlas that will use the API for their functionality. So whatever that could be just like text chat, or that could be like voice chat separately, or things like that. They don't want to just retrofit Spectrum how it is now and just throw it in the mobiGlas, because you wouldn't be able to read it. They also want you to be able to move it to a second screen if that's what you want to do.
That'd be cool.
I think that's cool. Yeah, that's cool.
Something that was really cool.
I actually missed that part.
Yeah, me too.
They were talking about how chat worked with the game, and inside and outside of Spectrum, and they were saying, you know, things like emojis and images and things like that wouldn't necessarily be something that would translate over to both, because they don't want emojis in space. But
I don't mind emojis on the
if
overlay.
it's in if it's in chat and it's not like floating around in space, then I mean, you have emojis in text chat in real life, so why couldn't you have emojis in chat in game? And they later said, yeah, that's something they want to do. So yeah, let's see your eggplants in chat. Or if you're watching this on YouTube, you know, get those eggplant comments in there.
I'd be annoyed if I was playing in game and then loads of Big Benny's things came up on my helmet while I was firing.
Bored's YouTube channel is going to be a farming channel.
Yeah.
If people type eggplant too much.
Yeah, excellent.
Oh my god, agriculture.
Yeah, agriculture. Turbulent's working on the voice integration for the game as well. They're using at first they said they didn't know what codec they were using, but then they went on to say they'll be using the Opus codec. And I have a link for that for those in chat. For anybody who's interested, it is an open source codec, I believe. If you wanted to go and learn more about it, there's the link to it there.
I did a little bit of research, and it does actually seem pretty good for voice, and won't give you the, you know, when you're on like Mass Effect or something and you hear constantly and immediately have to mute everyone that you ever talk to in a game. It doesn't have that kind of effect. The compression is good.
One of the cool things is their design at the moment is when you're in voice Spectrum and it sees that the game is running. So just like Discord, it can tell whether you're in a game or not in a game, or streaming or whatever.
Again, they're essentially making like the best of all the
so
in their opinion
really
the best
cool.
of all these things, and there's a lot of great things with Discord.
This is something like Discord can't do. It knows when you're in game, so instead of sending that audio to the Spectrum standalone, it'll send that audio in game and spatialize it. And that means, depending on if that character is next to you, if they're talking to you over radio, if they're talking to you over the ship communications, or however they're talking to you, it's going to sound like that. And so that's really, really.
Did we think
really
it was going to be
cool.
synced with character mouths as well?
Not yet.
I think that's something they want to do. I'm not sure when. That's not something that's going to come.
I wouldn't care if they did the like, I don't know, what is it, GTA 5? Like if you talk, your mouth just moves a little bit, so you get some immersion, but it's not like perfect.
We'll see how they're going to do it.
The other thing that Spectrum does really well, or was going to be doing really well, that it wants to do for it, is the in-game states where you actually are, not just the positional audio, but it's saying, I'm in Port Olisar. If you're on your friends list,
well,
it's
that's
exactly where you are.
No. So that's later on in the friends list stuff, and we'll talk on that on the end of this.
Oh yeah, sorry.
They also want to bring in nested voice channels similar to TeamSpeak. So that means is you can have a command channel and then Squadron channels underneath it. And so the command channel can't hear the Squadron channels, but whenever you talk in the command channel, all Squadron channels hear it. And I think that's something that's important, especially for large organizations trying to be organized. That it's like, this is, you can have a mining command and all the mining all the mining channels under that. You could have attack squadron. You could have all kinds of stuff, and then all of those could be all nested under a general command thing. So if it's like, yo, we're under attack and we need everybody here, you can just message everybody through that. So should be interesting. The voice isn't too far. They didn't have a date for it, but they didn't say it was going to be very far away. They also said
that's not voice in game, by the way.
That's not voice in game. That's voice out of game. They
want a desktop application in a similar way to Discord.
Yeah. Turbulent says that the nested feature is the one feature that's required for orgs in this game to function. Full stop. So they know that it's really important, and they don't know how they're going to do it, but they know they want to do it. And so there's different ways that they can do it. They just have to figure out what the best way is, and they're in R&D for that now. The mobile app shouldn't be hard to translate into an app, but it's going to come a bit later. But they also said the goal is for this year. So we can expect the app at some point this year, I think. When that is, we don't know. It's not going to take precedence over getting voice in the game, or voice in the application, so on the web app and in the standalone app. So those things are going to be coming first. The big unknown is if voice is going to be able to be brought over to mobile. They really want to, but desktop is priority, and there's a lot of different systems, right? So they have to make it work for all the different browser types, and they also have to make it work in game, which is an entirely different system. And then if they look at mobile,
so not important. Mobile is not important for a video game. It's silly.
And then even with mobile, you have iOS, Android, and then they even joked about Windows Phone, which I don't think anybody uses.
No.
They're currently having input issues with the mobile, even the website on the mobile. They're aware of that, and that's something that they're working on. Talked about the dev tracker. The API is really cool. Basically, it's like what I thought of immediately was you guys know Anna in chat, which is my bot, or EDBot. That's used with a program called DeepBot that hooks in via the API through Twitch. And it would be cool, and I'm sure it'll happen eventually down the road, is somebody will make something like DeepBot for orgs, right? Where you can run a DeepBot application that does all kinds of stuff, that gives updates, that you can get information from for different roles, can create new lobby channels, and put people in specific roles based on things and stuff like that. There is a fine line, because there will be updates in chat saying things like trading actions and things like that. And then bots can be written to trade, and it's kind of a design problem. So they're going to have to see how that's going to work. But it's mostly about making life easier, creating lobbies, roles, different commands, things like that. And they are definitely creating an API for it. So 100%, they're 100% on board on that to make sure that that comes out. People asked about an automatic translator so everybody could type in their native language. There are APIs that do this, that use like web AI, that can be added to Spectrum, and they can use their open source that they can do it. They're looking into this on a serious. They joked around about some stuff, but they are looking into this. But they want to get the core foundations of everything else built first, and then this is something that would come later if it does come in. But that would be really cool. You know, I know that I have a lot of international viewers, and so do you guys. So when you're in an organization, somebody can be typing in German, someone can be talking in Japanese, and someone could be typing in English. And based on what your preferences are, it automatically translates what they say in chat. So everybody just sees it as their own native language, which would be really cool. And even if they don't do something like that, that sounds like something that the API could handle anyways. Right, where it's like, okay, here's a thing that automatically translates it for you.
It's an interesting thing to see if stuff's how lost in translation it becomes when you're communicating that way, though.
Well, I mean, like I said, there's a lot of web AI that it like learns over time and starts to translate things properly. And
I've seen those web AIs run a Twitter channel with a sex robot eventually. So I don't know if anyone knows what I'm talking about, but I'm not going to say what it says.
It'll be interesting for sure. They also want to do custom emotes for Spectrum. It's a feature they want to add as soon as possible. We're on 3.2 now. They're shooting for 3.35 for this, or before. Basically, they want orgs to be able to have their own emojis for the entire org, and also have the ability to create their own custom upvote icons. So instead of just an arrow, you could have something else. I mean, like bananas or something. I mean, that's not like super important. No plan for a global list yet, like for global emotes, but that's something that the community team is really pushing for. And Disco Lando said it will be his legacy if they do that he will make a next great emote or whatever. And that would be something that they would be able to get the community to submit a bunch of different emojis and then pick a select few to make those global for all of Spectrum. I only have one response to that.
It's a great way of getting stuff done for free, isn't it?
Yeah.
To say, hang on, you guys do it.
Yeah.
There's a prize. Whee!
I have one response to that. Yeah.
I think it should be Grayed. I don't know. Grayed was on one of the Discords, I think. I think it might have been Evocati Discord. There was a Grayed.
What about my egg? What about my face? Just my... I'd love that so much.
And like random people would use it that I don't think knew what it was.
That'd be amazing. Oh shit.
And then yeah, so last but not least, the friends contact stuff that we were talking about. They currently have a contact system in now that they like, where there's kind of the handshake where you have to confirm both players, and they want to keep that as simple as possible. But they also want to build out a more granular way of permissions. So necessarily, like, I maybe want to go invite you to a mission, but I don't want you to always see where I'm at or see when I'm online. Or maybe some people I do want to do that with. So add to listings, seeing locations, sending PMs, invite to missions, etc. They want to do those through permission requests, like a yes, no, or only for the session or whatever. Characters are also going to have to be considered with this, because some people will have a good character and a bad character, or a hidden character. Things like that. So that's pretty much it for this last week. There's actually quite a bit of stuff, even though the PTU doesn't really have a lot in it. If you guys have any questions, we're going to jump into those really quickly. Did you guys have anything else you wanted to cover before we jump into these?
I'm ready for questions, baby.
There's a fan-made Next Great Starship commercial thing going on at the moment, which I was supporting. That looks quite interesting, but we can cover that next week when we know more about it.
Okay, yeah, throw the link in chat or in the doc, and we'll take a look at that. First question from Pure Vengeance. When do we get the red hair back? I haven't decided. Next question. The One Sovereign says, so the idea is that eventually, when a more finalized persistent universe comes out, we will make a decision about where we want to place our hangar, right? On what planet or area. Do you think we're going to get as many hangars to place as we have access to and can put them in separate spots, or only choose to place one hangar type in one location? More importantly, what do you think the answer should that be?
As many ships as you have.
As many hangars as you have?
Hangars.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it should be as many hangars as you have.
I don't know, though, because you don't have one ship per hangar either, right? I think maybe you should have the option.
Do you get one hangar per ship, though? I guess you do.
Not necessarily.
Yeah.
So no, some ships had hangars, some don't, do they?
No, they all have the
ship has a hangar except for maybe the Argo. I'm gonna look now because
I would say base
positive.
it on game packages. Personally,
I wouldn't mind if it was just game packages, but then you'd have to buy hangars in game.
Yeah, you'd have to
after.
Yeah,
right.
Like you'll still be able to buy locations in game.
Yeah. Let me look at my standalone ships. They all come with hangars for sure, except for maybe the smaller ones. The 85X comes with a self-land hangar.
Mm-hmm.
I was always assuming that those hangars,
Argo self-land hangar,
that we start with, we'd have to rent anyway.
No, yes. I was going to go into that.
I was under the impression that we own those ones.
No, I don't think so. I think it's literally your starting hangar that you then have to rent.
Yeah, and if they give you the amount of options that you have, you still have to pay the hangar fees.
I think there's still fees like your hydro bill, right?
Yeah.
But I don't know about renting per se. I think you can.
Well, you rent the location,
hangars.
But you have the hangar.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay.
The thing is,
Selfland is
you buy the hangar, but you rent the.
They're mass-produced hangars.
The land.
But you rent the space. Yeah.
The thing is that we don't have an official source. I don't think exactly what they want to do with it yet. They probably haven't 100% thought it out.
The only official thing is what Kinchat put in chat is that a free hangar was a stretch goal for like early backers. So there's clearly hangar fees.
Well, that's why you get UEC with some packages, and that's not attributed to your account. The idea is that to pay for hangar fees early on. But I personally, I know this is piss a load of people off, and I'm sorry. I personally think they should just be starting hangars that we have to pay fees for. I mean, it makes sense to me.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Those hangars would be worth more than the ships.
A lot of people saying there's audio freaking out on Twitch.
Sometimes in the channel, you hear a little spike of something. I hear it too.
But it's only on the channel, hey? I don't hear from you guys. And I'm not seeing it on my my mixer or anything. So.
If you don't hear, I'm watching the stream and listening at the same time. So I might. Yeah, I don't know. It sounds fine. It's just every now and then you hear this thing, and I've heard that's a Twitch thing.
Okay. Octus Invictus says, "I've heard talk about the Super Saber. Is that a thing?"
Ben mentioned it as a Super Saber. What's that? That was the length of the conversation.
It's just a rumor at this point.
I mean, people think it might be the Aegis Eclipse, which is a Super Saber.
And then he goes on to ask, what do you think about being able to use jetpacks on planets like you can in Mass Effect? So for jumping up on things, or shooting ahead, or whatever. I like the idea of being able to jump jet onto things a little higher than you normally would be able to.
That'd be cool.
Like not full, like flying around in space.
But then it would, then at landing locations, they would have to, maybe it's a later, yes, I like the idea, but maybe it's a later on thing, because then think of like ArcCorp, where a lot of the areas that you couldn't reach weren't very built out.
Yeah.
And they would have to build out a lot more then, so it would take longer. I don't want anything to take longer, so let's do it later.
Well, I don't think I want jump jets in game or jump packs, but I do like the idea of being able to survive falls in game somehow. I just don't want people jetpacking everywhere.
Yeah,
it would be weird. It would be weird, like people just jumping around all over the place. It kind of makes sense
because you have the jetpacks. Maybe if they had some sort of restriction when you go into a city that you're not allowed to use them.
Yeah, you have to take your jetpack off before going through the
Your jetpack would still effectively be an engine you strap to yourself, even in the future.
Well, I mean, that's what it is. That's what it is right now.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, they don't work very well right now.
But for floating around in space and EVA, that's sort of what they...
I don't think jetpacks is a good idea. Sorry.
It's fair.
I don't want jetpacks.
Yeah. I would say jump boosters to sort of help... maybe double the height of your jump, but that's about it. Maybe something where it's like it's not enough to get you over something, but just enough to get you onto something that you normally wouldn't be able to reach for when you're exploring a planet.
As I said, I like the idea of being able to jump out of ships and not dying. So whether that's parachutes
or
some
like
sort of
slow you down as you
armor
come down.
Also grab shoot or something like that. Great, but just jetpacks. There's a whole world of pain there.
Okay, Kin Shadow asks, do you feel the Buccaneer is competitive with the other fighting ships? Yes.
Yeah.
I think we discussed it early on in the show that I thought it was so well balanced with the Hornet. For the first time, I think they looked at the ships that are there and they balanced based on its like direct competition.
Yeah,
so I mean, Super Hornet versus Buccaneer, I thought it was really
it's
balanced.
Very dependent on your
it.
play style too, which is really cool. Like if you are someone who likes to like dodge and maneuver and just be like sort of annoying and still be able to hit, but you just the downside of that is you can't take a hit.
I like the fact that in squad battle that you desperately want both Super Hornets and Buccaneers on your team because they suit different roles and they're both balanced, and you've got the bruisers and then the flankers, and it's just really good. I really enjoy it.
Grit Spitter asks, going back to the vending machine, do you think they'll have function considering the food water mechanic that we may be getting?
Don't go back to the vending machine.
Also, what do you think if players can own or place their own vending machines to make money? Having to resupply them regularly with goods processed from farming? Could it be a little side profession?
I would love something like that personally. Something like that, not maybe vending machines, but something where the only difference is you can't make goods in this game. So in most MMOs, you can make goods.
Well, I could see.
Therefore, you sell your goods that you make.
But I could see this. You could go and buy those goods for cheaper from another place and then sell them through your vending machine. Or what I would see this as is instead of just being able to put these vending machines anywhere, being able to put these vending machines in your hangar and your org's hangars or any of your areas that you own, like any space stations or planet-side buildings that you own, that then the org can buy stuff from. So you don't necessarily turn a profit from it, or you could if you wanted to. But it gives your org the ability to buy ammunition, to buy like little things like scopes or clips or whatever, like little add-ons for your weapons, things like that from the vending machine without having to go to somewhere else to buy that stuff.
You go to Benny's vending machine, get a
not a Benny's,
and some noodles.
not a Benny's vending machine, but just a vending machine in general, like an auto vend thing that you would have to stock.
I was thinking that you like put them in your Idris and you effectively get reduced crew fees because the NPCs are using them to eat, and you're making money.
That's also
off
a cool idea.
Is
putting those vending machines, and like I said, not just limiting it to a Benny's machine, but putting those machines in there so you don't need to necessarily go back to a city just to restock. But if you run out of that stuff that you have on board, then you would need to go back to a city to restock those things, which then people could use to restock their stuff. While out in the field.
It's a little bit too micromanagey for me. Like I do like micromanagement, but Star Citizen is just
a little bit.
I want it to become Sin Citizen.
It's a cool idea.
I still think like Uber Nerd also mentioned like auto vendors where like actual NPC vendors like run a store for you and you can buy like maybe a small storefront. But what are you selling though? Like I get what Soros is saying, but from somebody who wants to do cargo running, like you're gonna cargo run, so you're gonna buy something and sell it where you can sell it for more.
Not necessarily. Not if you need okay, I'm gonna use I like using WoW as an example. With WoW, you have your guild bank with all your gems and your enchantments and all of that stuff for your guild or your guildmates if they need it, right?
I'm not talking about any guild stuff though. I'm talking about like people in chat are mentioning selling goods to people in the game, having an NPC sit there
so
and sell goods in the game.
Well,
I'm not saying
an NPC
for Star Citizen.
I would say that you could do it through a vending machine style interface. And the same thing with WoW. You would sell those things to your guildmates. You wouldn't just give them to them, Maybe the higher up guys, you just let them have access to it for free. but you would sell those things to your guildmates, and because it would be quicker, and you'd be a little bit cheaper than the auction house, and it would be more convenient than going to the auction house or whatever. But you'd still turn a profit on it.
See,
I could see that.
The only thing I could see is salvage. Like somebody said, pirated loots. So salvage things end up having a higher demand than what the game actually, like by players, than what the game actually will let you sell it for. But I don't expect that to happen in Star Citizen, because the whole economy should understand supply and demand and set the prices properly, where if I found this thing, or I bought this thing for a low price over here, based on supply and demand, if I pay attention to that, I can make money selling it.
I want to be able to sell stuff directly to players. That's important, because I can overclock stuff. I might want to make...
Overclock stuff is the only thing that makes sense.
But also there will be alien artifacts and special weapons that you might be able to find as well. They have talked about that before.
Rares, like a rare
items
market.
Yeah, and I want to be able to sell that if I want to be able to sell that. But there is a issue with amount of space in the universe that is usable for selling, and people having their own little shops that aren't done by just a contract system. So selling your stuff like very simply over a trade console, or through like an auction house, or directly to another player, nice and simple.
If you're like TDD.
Yeah, at the exactly. But if you're saying that you want to set up your own little shop in places, or you want to put like a little machine down that sells stuff for you, that is a lot more complex. And I love the idea. That would be amazing, but I just think that it's very hard to do and unlikely to happen. And there's not enough space for it. Everyone will fight over these locations.
Yeah, I don't think that works. I think the only way that you could, like, going back to the actual question, I think the only way that something like that would work is within an organization, like I had said.
Maybe.
I mean, it's they've done it in like it. Yeah, I don't know. It'd be interesting to see how they do it. But I mean, like you said,
did we ignore the Banu Merchantman? That's essentially what the Banu Merchantman is. But I don't think it ever made sense. I don't think it ever made sense.
Even the Caterpillar they showed a module where it had a storefront in it.
But you're still about to sell stuff to people in a Banu. People come onto your ship and they buy it. It doesn't need its own little trade shop console. So that's the Banu Merchantman is a perfect example. What I'd like to see. I want a fighting ship that is a sale room. You fly around places and go, buy my stuff. That's exactly what you want, and it's not automated. You don't have to trade and vie for space. I hate selling locations for space that the early people are able to get and then keep forever. That's what I do not like in games. I want economy, I want trade, and I want change.
That's what I loved about always going back to UO, though. Yes, I mean, it creates a real estate economy, which... in the end,
Arcade was cool for that too.
Yeah, like in the end, you're gonna have to save. Like you're gonna be making. If you play this game a lot, you're gonna have so much money you don't know what to do with, and that's what you do with it.
Yeah, they need those money
That's what you do with it. Yeah.
The next question's from the stream. Do you think CIG will have to dumb down the graphics later on for performance reasons? No, that's what options are for. Next question. The One Sovereign. With regards to nested versus standard threads on Spectrum, isn't there potential for the different view options to make there be some confusion? For Reddit, for example, when you reply to someone, you don't have to reply specifically because it's nested. Yes, but my answer to that would be then, just like on the forums, it would show what it's replying to in a quote box. And so they would just have that automated.
Okay.
I mean, that is immediately how I looked at it.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah, so then it would not be inconsistent. And then so just like now, if you go on a forum and you see someone's replied to something 3 pages back and it doesn't make sense to the rest of the conversation, but you see that they have the quote of that previous message. So I think that's how they would do it. And just automate how that works. Miss Kitten says, have you heard anything about Hellion? If not, you should have a look at its mechanic. We might imagine something like this is not a question.
This is not a question!
But yeah, we've all played Hellion.
Yeah. I don't know what mechanic you were talking about. It just says you should look at its mechanic. We might imagine something like this for Star Citizen.
It's one mechanic.
Oh, just like overall survival mechanic probably is what they mean.
Maybe.
And no, never.
No.
In Star
I was
Well
not a
said.
fan. I plan to use my 890 jump as a mobile casino with gambling games made off of simple mechanics like grabby hands, which would be cool if they implement those little mini games and stuff. Do you guys believe CIG will allow in-game gambling? Only with UEC, of course.
I hope so, and with
I hope
UEC
so.
only. Yeah. The thing is, UEC might have a dollar value. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's kinda weird.
that's weird because we know
But we
they're gonna
can't sell it back. We can't sell it back.
Yeah.
So I know this is a monstrous idea, but I want to be able to sell it back.
Of course you do. Imagine being able to make money off of a video game. That's what was great about Ultima Online and WoW and all these games that you could sell items in. What I mean, you legally weren't supposed to, but you could.
I want it to be a legal, okay thing to do. And I know that might be monstrous, and I haven't thought about it properly, but I like the idea of making money off of playing a video game.
Yeah. And going back to Hellion, those are the exact ways that they're going to do survival in Star Citizen. It's just the implementation in Hellion, it was too buggy. That's all. Yeah.
The
This is about
next
oxygen
question
and
is
shit.
from Zeus and Oxia. For Twerk, planning is in full swing for a U.S. fan-organized CitizenCon for October for this year, similar to the German one from last year, aimed at people who can't afford a trek to Germany but still want the CitizenCon experience.
I just
Would
saw that.
you consider going to this event?
Yes, I wrote maybe depends on what you have, because I'm considering not going to too many events anymore and just gonna stream through them. Is my idea.
Yeah.
Lately. So, but for CitizenCon in the US, that's a totally different thing. I would definitely consider going to that. Yes.
So like a
Would
fan-made
not go to
CitizenCon thing?
Yeah.
Like a
Well,
event?
basically, I think what they're considering doing is on the day of CitizenCon doing making a
meetup?
giant US meetup where we can all get together and watch it together. And
No
I'd like
Canadian
maybe
meetups. Feels bad, man.
well, I mean, they just thought of this today. It seems like.
Yeah.
A North American one, though. I mean, it's something you can fly to within 5-6 hours instead of 15.
Guys, make it at
right?
Twerk's house so I don't have to pay for a hotel again. Fucking
No,
wrecked me.
don't make it anywhere fucking near me.
There's no
Wow.
room. There's no room at the
Wow.
There's
end.
no room at the end. No, no room
Fine.
at the end. Sorry.
Mr. Yellow says, how important would it be for you to be able to use voice chat on the mobile app? For example, when you need to do org-related stuff on
Meh.
the go.
Don't care.
I think it's only important for org leaders. I don't think it's as important for general members, to be honest.
Yeah. It's been in planning for a while, the CitizenCon thing, but I just heard about it today.
Set Middle says, hey guys, would you like Spectrum to translate your face expression in game, avatar to move lips? And we talked about this a little bit.
Yes,
at the same time, like sort of similar to FaceReg, but I mean the tech is there. They can do it.
The tech's
Like-
there, yeah.
Like FaceRig can do it. Character Animator.
I think Chris even
for
mentioned
Adobe.
FaceRig way back.
Yeah, Character Animator
We've
does it.
seen the faces for the free lateral demo. They can able to read out a script because of the way that the faces work.
Yeah,
out the muscles.
because I mean,
so all you need
your
to have to do is
face-
talk.
The thing
Yeah.
is, it just needs to understand what the sounds are. So if it hears an O sound, it knows that how to make the face for that. So I actually, you know what? Going back to the three lateral stuff, yes, I think it'll be in game actually now. I'm gonna say 99%. I'm pretty confident.
I like the fact you've up to 99%.
99. Well, I was on like a 50-50 before. Shiro says, do you guys believe orgs or groups of them will eventually take over certain areas of low sec space and enforce their own rules? Are you guys a fan of this type of gameplay, space politics simulator?
I feel like we get this asked often. The game is going to not allow that too much.
Well, it might in low sec
in
space.
low sec space, it will.
But it's still going to create missions for it.
Yeah, there might be specific areas where orgs try and do that, and that's going to be part of the game. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see how they do that. And if it becomes an issue, then we know that they can do things like, happen to have this pirate convoy come through or whatever, shake things up a little bit.
You got to remember that it's not going to be overly controlled by players. The universe, there is going to be 10 or 9 NPCs to every one player. So CIG can go, well, let's send an army to go and dislodge this org that causing issues if they wanted to. See what I mean?
Hell's Havoc says, in Happy Hour when showing the inside of the javelin with basketball hoop, what do you think those things on the ground were for? I have no idea.
Marking out the basketball hoop.
Basketball stuff?
I think he's talking about the
Ground plates?
Yeah, it was for, that's actually in a hangar, or not a hangar, but a cargo room. So that's those are mag plates to hold cargo
for the
in.
cargo, yeah.
Yeah. So the basketball hoop is
doubles.
just there if there's no cargo in there for there to be recreation for the crew if they're not working. And if there's no cargo, then maybe it's likely they're not working.
I just assumed that was literally taken straight from Squadron 42, that specific hangar. But...
yeah, probably.
Shambles. Has there ever been any mention of space mines? Yes. They've talked about that. They've talked about specifically being able to have false beacons that when somebody shows up to them, they are not beacons at all. They're explosives. So
they briefly talked about possible mine layers and stuff as well, didn't they?
Yeah.
I like the idea of it, I think.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how they would deal with that in 3D space. But I think it's something they could do, especially if you have like say for example, you've taken over a space station and want to protect it, and you know there's only sort of a safe way to fly around it, and sort of booby trap.
The only way I can think of that would work would be like they act as missiles when they get activated. They you see them and
like
then
missile
they go,
launchers or something. Yeah, that would be that. Yeah, that's a cool idea. I didn't think of that. And our last question from Call Me Crazy. I know you've been asked this a lot of times, but I didn't hear it. What is your estimate date that Star Citizen will be released after beta with all this stuff? Planets, almost everything.
No, Jack, don't do it.
Yeah, he's out.
He's gonna go talk to Chris Roberts.
He's gonna go ask Chris and get an answer for you.
He's in the room next to him.
My answer.
He's gonna call Chris. He's gonna call.
I'm gonna give you Chris's phone number on stream too. You ready? 1-800-FIDELITY. All right, I called him.
Yeah.
Soon, TM? Oh, okay, cool. Yeah.
So obviously that means next week, guys.
Yeah.
Next week. So that is that, and that wraps up our podcast for this week. Hope everybody enjoyed it. Twerk, what are you up to, and where can people find you?
I'm not up to much. I'm probably just going to play Conan and more of Walking Dead. But if you saw me typing while the podcast was going on, I wanted to confirm that we can confirm this for next week. But on next week's podcast, we're going to have Matt Sherman talk about
Matt Sherman
in the air. We're going to have our first CIG employee guest on the podcast. We're at episode 1 million, and it's the first time, so it's really exciting for us. So we're going to have Matt Sherman come on. And well,
we've had Pedro before.
We've had Pedro, but he's not like a Pedro's like
he's
still
like contracted
outsourced.
out.
Yeah. So this is like the first like CIG guy that goes to the office every day and works on the stuff that we play each day. So
Matt Sherman, we've got some questions for you.
So if I don't know how we're gonna go about it just yet, because it's just kind of like confirmed today that this was gonna be a thing for next week, but we'll I'm assuming we'll all get questions from people and put them together and have a little bit different format for questions.
Yeah, so if you have any questions for him now that you can think of now, that command and that link is active all week. So feel free to put
in my channels,
in.
Sources, probably boards.
Yep. So be able to put those in if you have any questions for him, and we will go through those and make sure to answer those. Make sure that they're directed at him, so at guest, and then type in MS or Matt Sherman or whatever, so we can differentiate those.
Yes.
And where can everybody find you, Twerk?
At twitch.tv/Twerk17, and at Twerk17 on Twitter, and again, I think I said last.
Twitter.
I gaming on Twitter. I thought I said that, but yeah, thank you. And
so many times I put that in, and it's like
I'm afraid what Twerk17 is on Twitter. Yeah,
I don't think it's a nobody.
But yeah, YouTube. I was gonna say I'm not really making YouTube videos right now because unfortunately don't have enough time.
One day
soon, hopefully. But yeah, what are you up to, Board? What's going on?
Here, I have Twerk17 on my chat or on my thing right now. His last tweet was 2012. And he has 3 followers and following 2 people, 4 tweets.
Damn, dude.
That's when twerking was cool, 2020.
And he has a picture. Oh my god, it's BoredGamer with the yellow background and everything.
That's crazy.
Go fuck yourself.
Bord, you should make that your new Twitter logo.
Org logo.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it. Well, you can find me anywhere you can find eggs in a shopping market. No. At BoredGamer UK, pretty much on all social medias and YouTubes and Twitters and that sort of stuff. I this week am going to be chasing up ASUS about my laptop, getting ready for BritizenCon and I60, which are in a couple of weeks' time.
Fun.
It should be fun. And if people are around at Insomnia 60, the game festival, please say hi. Drop me a message, whatever. We'll meet up for a drink. We'll play some games together, all that sort of jazz. I know some CIG people are coming down as well. So we might do a bar citizen or something then. And then the week after is BritizenCon. Again, if you're coming down, you want to like meet up for a proper drink the day before, the day after, or whatever as well. I'm around and lonely. But this week I will be continuing to do some random Star Citizen videos. I've got lots of just random chods planned based on lore and I can't remember. Oh, 1080 Ti stuff and yeah, stuff to do with voice attack as well, lots of other bit spots. But yeah, so I love you. And what were you doing, Saurus?
There you go. Before I get into that, guys, make sure to check out the Redacted Patreon, our shirt store, and our sponsors Massdrop, !Massdrop in chat. That all helps us.
Our sponsor,
yeah, ModMic.
ModMic, you said Massdrop.
Yeah, it's on Massdrop right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, !Massdrop.
Our sponsor's Massdrop. I got it now.
Yes.
Yes, I can get it now.
So we are. I'm going to be playing some Star Citizen. Maybe checking out some other games here and there. Working on the Streamhouse stuff. That's about it. You can find me at twitch.tv/WTFasaurus, which is where you're at right now. And twitter.com/WTFasaurus. Right after this, we're going to be playing some Star Marine, and I have a gift card for you guys. So stick around, and I will see you guys over there. All right, guys. Bye. We will see you later.
Thanks for stopping by.